What is going on, Phantxm Army? It's your boy Phantxm Stilts, and welcome back once again, guys, to a brand new video on the channel. Today we're taking a look at 4 tips for you with your streaming software, whether you use Streamlabs OBS or OBS Studio. Today we're going to take a look at 4 things that you can do in order to alleviate some of the lag and stuff that you guys may be experiencing on your streams. I know when I first started out, my streams were very laggy, very hard to watch, very low quality, things like that. And we're going to talk about, like I said, 4 awesome tips to basically alleviate all of that stress and all of that aggravation while you're having laggy streams and things like that. So without any further ado, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel. That way you guys don't miss any new videos of any of the content that I put up on the channel. But without any further ado, like I said, let's jump right into the 4 tips, guys. Here we go. All right, guys, so tip number 1 is actually a simple button click that you guys, or a series of button clicks that you guys can do in order to make your streams and your streaming software run as efficiently as possible. When you're running your streaming software, you want to have it as high priority on the priority list as far as the task manager and the processes of the computer are concerned. So a really easy way to do that is actually just right-clicking on your desktop on your streaming software and running it as administrator. Now, there's a way that you can do this automatically every time you launch the program. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. So if you guys want to just run it as administrator without setting it up automatically, if you want to sort of do it, you know, off and on, depending on whether you're recording or streaming, you guys just go up to your streaming software. That you guys can see I have Stream Elements OBS.live right here, which is my streaming software. You go ahead and right-click on your mouse, and you go to Run as Administrator. And it'll give you a little dialog box, obviously asking, do you want to run it as administrator? You obviously hit yes. And you see, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? You hit yes. Obviously, my streaming software is already running, so it will not allow me to do that. But you right-click on it, run as administrator, and you're good to go. It'll have you ask a little dialog box. Do you want to make changes to your computer, or do you want to allow this program to make changes to your computer? You obviously hit yes, and then you are good to go. Now, if you want to set it up automatically, what you do is you actually right-click on that. You go to the drop-down and go to Properties. And then in this dialog box, you go to Advanced. And you're going to want to tick this box that says Run as Administrator. This option allows you to run this shortcut as an administrator while protecting your computer from unauthorized activity. You hit OK, OK, and every single time you launch OBS now, it will run as administrator. It will give you that dialog box, and you are good to go. It's an automatic process versus having to right-click it every time and running it as administrator that way. So for the rest of the tips, guys, they're actually going to be inside of OBS Studio, and they're actually pretty simple fixes. You might have to sacrifice a little bit of quality to have your streams run a little bit better, but it is better than having a laggy stream. A stream that runs smoothly at a little bit less quality is a lot better than a stream that runs really crappy at really good quality. Well, technically it wouldn't be really good quality if it's running crappy. So anyways, the second tip we're going to go over is running your stream off of your GPU versus your CPU. Now, the difference between the CPU and the CPU is basically the brains of the computer. It's what makes everything run. It's that little chip that if you guys have ever built a PC before, it's that little square chip that you actually put inside the motherboard in that housing and makes your computer run. It's the brains of the computer. The GPU stands for your graphics card. That could be, you know, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, if you have integrated graphics, if you bought a laptop, usually most laptops have integrated graphics. If you built your PC, chances are that you had to install your GPU in order for it to work. So the 2 big companies as far as GPUs are concerned are obviously NVIDIA or AMD. Excuse me. And with both of those graphics cards, there's actually a setting within OBS Studio where you can run your encoder or whatever is doing the visual tuning and the visual perspective of your stream, as well as the sound. You can change that from the CPU to the GPU. Now, I believe for most, when you fire up OBS Studio or Streamlabs OBS, I believe it's defaulted to your CPU, and you can actually toggle that and change it. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. So if you go in here to OBS Studio, as you guys can see, we have the software up and running here. Sorry for the infinity symbol or the infinity screens. We can't really do anything about that because I am displaying capture. I am running a display capture on the main monitor so you guys can see what I'm doing. So you go up here to File, go to Settings, and you're going to want to go all the way over to, or all the way down rather, to the, I believe it's the Output tab. Yes. So as we go to the streaming tab of the settings for the output tab on the software here, you guys can see that the streaming tab is actually already selected, and my encoder is my NVIDIA NVENC H264 new. Now, if you guys are, obviously I'm running the recording right now, so I'm not able to toggle this on and off. But if you do have this, if you do have an NVIDIA or an AMD graphics card, I highly recommend you using that versus your X264, which is your processor. The GPU, actually for NVIDIA cards, I'm not sure about AMD, but I know NVIDIA graphics cards have a special chip called the Phantxm chip. That little chip is actually manufactured in order to run the stream off of that chip versus the entire GPU. So by changing this to your GPU, you're taking all of that load off of your processor and allowing your processor to run the game and all the other processes of the computer. And that Phantxm chip, not necessarily your graphics card, is what's encoding the stream. Does that make sense? So that's another really easy fix that you guys can do just by toggling away from your processor to your GPU. You're going to experience a lot less lag, a lot less low quality streaming, and things are just going to work out better for you because you're using the graphics card versus the CPU to encode your stream. All right, guys, so tip number 3 on how to improve a laggy stream is actually within the exact same tab and the exact same menu as the encoder. We're going to talk about your bitrate. So in order to talk about bitrate, we first have to test your bitrate, or AKA your internet connection, and how your stream is going to be encoded to the streaming platform of your choice. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to a website which is called speedtest.net. So I'll go to that website for you guys now. Go to www.speedtest.net. And what we're going to do is we're going to run a simple speed test for your internet connection. So I'll run the test and you guys will see me in just a second. So as you guys can see here, we have run the speed test at speedtest.net. And the number that you guys want to pay really close attention to is actually the upload speed. So the upload speed is in direct correlation to what you want to set your bit rate to. So when you're looking at bit rate, it does it in kilobytes per second. So basically what you want to do is you want to match that to about 80% of your upload speed. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring out our calculator on Windows and do a quick little calculation of 80% of 11. We'll say 11 or 12. We'll say 12 because it's a little bit closer to 12. So what we'll do is we'll do 12,000, which is going to be the amount of bit rate that our internet connection can handle, more or less. I'm saying 12. It's closer to 12 than it is to 11. So we'll go ahead and times that by 0.8. And what we get is 9,600. Now, if you're streaming to Twitch, the max cap for partner or people that are not partnered, or not affiliated with transcoding on their streams, the max bitrate on Twitch that you can use is 6,000. So obviously we have way overkill for Twitch. The max bitrate, if you're not partnered on YouTube, is actually 10,000. So we can actually go pretty close to that with 9,600. So 9,600 is 80% of our total bit rate. Now, the reason why you want to do about 80 to 75% of your bit rate is because you have to have other stuff in the house running for streams, such as like Netflix, Hulu. Any of those streaming services are going to need some bit rate in order for them to run correctly. So you don't want to max out your bit rate, because if you do, pretty much nothing in your house is going to work correctly from a streaming standpoint. So go with 80% of your bit rate, run that speed test, and do that simple calculation, and you guys should be sitting pretty as far as your bit rate is concerned. Now, if you're still having problems, if you've done about 80% of your upload speed, you're going to want to sort of tweak that. So I would go maybe 60 to 50% of that bit rate. If you're still having trouble with that from 80%, I would knock that down to maybe 60 or 50% and see if that improves your stream. All right, guys, the fourth and final step that we're going to go to try and get rid of those laggy, crappy streams is actually dumbing down your quality. Now, I know it sounds like a big hassle to have to dumb down your quality. You've spent all of this money on your PC, but sometimes dumbing down your quality is actually a good thing. It helps save processes, it helps save resources on your PC that can be allocated to other parts, such as your game or Discord or whatever you happen to be running on the PC at the time of streaming. So what we're gonna do is, to get to that menu, we're gonna go back to Settings, File Settings, and you're going to go to your video. So as you guys can see, I actually have a pretty powerful computer. I actually run my stream in 1920 by 1080 on both my base and scaled resolution. So the base resolution is whatever monitor you're playing on. So the easiest way to look and see what monitor you're playing on is to actually go to the Windows settings or the display settings. So we'll go ahead and close down. Go ahead and move OBS over here actually. Go ahead and move that over here so we can see our desktop. So the easiest way to check the resolution of your monitor is to go to Start, Settings, Display or System, and then it should be transcoded or actually displayed for your display resolution right here in the display resolution drop-down menu. So as you guys can see, I have a 1920 by 1080 monitor. So with that 1920 by 1080 monitor, we'll bring OBS back over here onto the main screen. With that 1920 by 1080 monitor, what we want to do is set our base canvas resolution to 1920 by 1080 in the video tab, which it is already there. And then the output scaled resolution, if you're having a laggy stream, I would try bumping that down to maybe 1600 by 900. You can actually enter it manually. As I said before, with the GPU and CPU changes on the toggle menu, I cannot do it right now because I am physically recording on the PC. That's why you guys can see what I'm doing. So with the output scaled resolution, I would bump that down and manually put in 1600 by 900. See if that works for you. If it doesn't, try bumping it down to 720 by 1080 and see, or 1280 by 720, excuse me, and see if that works better for you. Now your bit rate is in direct correlation to your screen resolution. So obviously with the screen resolution, you're gonna wanna dumb down your bit rate. With your having a better screen resolution, your bit rate is going to have to be higher in order to capture all of that fast movement from say Apex, PUBG, whatever games you might be playing. It's a little bit easier to stream like strat games or MOBA heavy games where there's not a lot of movement, not a lot of quick movement. First-person shooters are obviously the toughest to stream because there's a lot of quick movement and a lot of action happening on screen. But if you're having trouble with that laggy stream and all of the solutions haven't really worked for you, dumbing down your quality is probably the best thing that I can possibly recommend to you guys as far as getting your stream to not be laggy or not look crappy anymore. So you can obviously, like I said, change your base resolution to whatever monitor you're gaming on, change the output scaled resolution to 1600 by 900, see if that works for you. If it doesn't, change it to 1280 by 720, and then you should be sitting pretty as far as a non-laggy stream if everything else has not worked. You can also change your downscale filter from Lanczos, which is the best. You can also change it to bicubic or bilinear. If you're still having a laggy stream after those two settings, try dumbing down your common FPS values from 60 to 30. So these are 4 tips, I guess I would say are the most recommended ones that I've used in the past. When I was running off of a laptop, when I first started YouTube and streaming, I was running a laptop off of a graphics card, or not a graphics card, off of a capture card from my Xbox console and was fine. When I tried to do that with a PC setup, it got very laggy, very run down. I was having streaming problems. The computer would crap out on itself, that kind of thing. So these are 4 tips that I sort of did trial and error. You have to sort of trial and error these tips, but running that speed test and doing some of the things I've showed you in this video should alleviate a lot of that lagginess, a lot of that crappy stream quality that you guys are experiencing. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this gave you some relief as far as trying to figure out what's causing your streams to be laggy and of low quality. But like I said, we're almost at 850 subscribers on the channel officially. We're trying to get to that magical 1,000 in order to get partnered. But I hope this video helped you guys in some way, form, or fashion to get you guys back up to streaming and streaming in good quality and enjoying your streams from a quality standpoint. But without any further ado, like I said, this is your boy Phantxm Stilts. Thank you guys again so much for coming by the channel. Thank you guys so much for possibly subscribing to the channel. And we will see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys.